Hey everybody, welcome back for another deep dive. We love to bring these to you.
Absolutely.
We're talking about saving the native son, empowerment strategies for young black males.
Right.
Published in 1996, this book, as we always like to say, it's not just reading material.
Yeah.
It's a guidebook, almost an action plan,
It is.
for anybody who really wants to make a difference when it comes to the success of young black men.
Yeah, and it's interesting. It's dedicated to Dr. Alfred B. Pastor, who is like a pillar in the black male development world.
Wow.
So right away, they're reminding us we're not just talking about theory here. We're talking about real people, real lives.
Real futures at stake.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and the book really takes on a question that honestly feels just as urgent today as it did back then.
Yeah.
How do we empower young black males to succeed?
Okay.
Not just in school, but, in their careers, in their relationships, their whole lives.
And, they don't shy away from the hard stuff right from the beginning. They lay out the reality, the challenges that black males faced in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, paint that picture for us.
You see these alarming statistics about, violent crime, unemployment, involvement in the justice system.
Right.
Even college enrollment was declining.
These are heavy topics, and unfortunately, a lot of them still resonate today.
Absolutely.
But it's not just about presenting the problem, is it?
No, it's not.
The book really goes deeper into the why behind all of it.
Exactly. They go beneath the surface and they explore the psychosocial development of young black males.
Okay.
All those factors, cultural, psychological decivers that shape their experience.
I like it.
And one of the key concepts that comes up is this idea of black expressiveness.
Okay, break that down for me. What does that mean?
Well, they describe it as having 5 dimensions. Rhythm, spontaneity, expressiveness, spirituality, and realism.
Okay.
And now these are all, good things, strengths. But the book argues that they've often been misinterpreted, especially in traditional school settings.
So you mean like schools that are really based around like a more European or white model?
Exactly. You think about a young black boy, expressing himself through movement rhythm.
Right.
That could be seen as disruptive in a classroom that values, sitting quietly and conformity.
Okay. So it's not that those expressions are wrong. They're just being judged by the wrong standard.
Yeah, absolutely.
Interesting.
And then there's this concept of cool pose,
Okay.
which the book describes as this way: young black males navigate a world that often sees them with suspicion or fear.
Right.
It's about projecting strength and control, even defiance sometimes, through things like body language, speech patterns, even their style.
I can picture like the handshakes, the way that some young black men use language.
Exactly.
It's so creative and rhythmic. It's almost like a code, communicating with each other while also pushing back against those expectations.
Absolutely. It's a powerful form of self-expression.
Powerful but tricky too, right?
Absolutely.
Because while cool pose can be a survival mechanism,
Right.
a way to assert yourself in a world that's not always welcoming, it can also backfire, lead to misunderstandings,
Yeah.
reinforce negative stereotypes.
Absolutely.
So how do we help young black males embrace their strengths without falling into those traps?
Well, that's where the empowerment programs come in.
Okay, I like this. I like where we're going.
The book lays out 2 specific programs: the Young Lions for elementary school students
Okay,
and Black Manhood Training for adolescents.
love it.
Yeah.
Let's start with the Young Lions. What makes that program stand out?
Well, first and foremost, the emphasis is on black male role models. Men who embody those positive values, who can provide that guidance.
Because sometimes you got to see it to believe it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You need somebody who looks like you achieving those things
Absolutely.
to really believe it's possible.
And beyond just having them present the curriculum, is designed to be culturally relevant.
Oh, yeah.
It incorporates Black history, music, art forms.
Yeah.
So it's not just trying to fit these young boys into a pre-existing mold.
Right.
It's about creating a space where they can learn and grow in a way that honors who they are.
So important.
And there's a real focus on building self-esteem, helping these boys see their potential and their worth.
It sounds like the Young Lions is really about laying a strong foundation.
Yes.
Giving these boys the tools and confidence they need to navigate the challenges ahead.
Absolutely.
But what about when they get older?
Yeah.
That's where Black Manhood Training comes in.
Exactly. Adolescence is a critical period for everybody, but especially for Black males.
Right.
They're facing societal pressures, negative stereotypes, and often a lack of positive guidance on what it means to be a man.
So this program is almost like a counter-narrative, helping them define manhood on their own terms.
Exactly. And again, the involvement of successful Black men from the community is key.
Yeah.
They act as mentors, they share their experiences, they offer advice, and they really show these young men what healthy, responsible Black manhood can look like.
It's about showing them that there's not just one way to be a Black man. There are many paths to success, and they can find their own.
It's about breaking down stereotypes and broadening horizons.
I love it. Now, one thing that struck me when we were talking about both of these programs is this emphasis on the role of Black men specifically. It's not just any positive role model. It's about Black men being involved.
Yes.
Why is that so important?
Well, the book argues that only Black men can truly understand and address the unique challenges that these young men face.
Yeah.
They share a cultural background, a historical context, lived experiences that allow them to connect on a deeper level.
It's about mentors who not only inspire, but who get it, who've been there.
Absolutely.
Who understand those struggles.
That authenticity is crucial.
Right. It's about having guides who can say, I've been there.
Yeah.
I faced these same obstacles and I came out on the other side.
Exactly.
That's powerful stuff.
It is. And it's not just about the young men themselves. The book also talks about the role of parents in this whole empowerment journey.
Of course. Yeah.
They introduced this workshop called SONS, which stands for Strengthen Our Native Sons.
Okay.
And it's specifically designed for Black parents.
I love that because it really acknowledges that parents are key players in all of this.
Absolutely.
It takes a village.
It does. And this workshop, it challenges those negative stereotypes that we see about the Black family.
Yeah.
In the media, sometimes even in academia.
Unfortunately.
It really emphasizes the historical strength and resilience of the Black family.
Which is so important, right? Because it's about reclaiming that narrative,
It is.
Celebrating the love, the support, the resilience that's always been there.
Absolutely. And the workshop gets really practical, too. It talks about understanding Black male development because, it doesn't always fit those traditional models that you see in most parenting books. It talks about effective discipline strategies.
Which, let's be real, every parent needs a little help with that sometimes.
Absolutely. And it's not just about discipline. It stresses open communication. Creating that space for parents and sons to really talk to each other and understand each other.
That's the foundation of any healthy relationship.
Absolutely. Trust and connection.
Yes.
Another key area is fostering a positive racial identity. Helping these young men develop that sense of pride in their heritage and their culture.
Yeah.
Because they're going to face so many negative messages out in the world.
Right.
So having that strong foundation is crucial.
It's about giving them that inner strength.
Yeah.
That unshakable sense of self-worth that comes from knowing who you are and where you come from.
Exactly. The workshop also talks about how parents can support their son's academic success. Being an active advocate for their education, not just leaving it all up to the schools.
This is so empowering for parents,
Yeah.
Giving them the tools and knowledge to really navigate the system and make sure their kids are getting what they deserve.
Absolutely. But here's the thing. The book doesn't just talk to the Black community.
Okay.
It recognizes the role of allies in supporting Black male empowerment as well.
I'm glad it brings that in.
Yeah.
It really broadens the conversation and makes it clear that this is everyone's responsibility.
It is. It encourages people from other backgrounds, especially white men, to really do some self-reflection. Understanding white privilege and recognizing the systemic advantages that they might have.
It's a crucial first step, right?
Absolutely. You can't dismantle a system if you don't see it.
Very true.
And then it goes further and offers concrete examples of how white male allies can really make a difference. Being a positive figure in the life of a Black male student, challenging racism whenever they see it, advocating for equity, in schools and society.
It's about being an active ally, not just a bystander.
Exactly. Using their privilege to challenge the status quo.
Right, and mentoring.
Of course, mentoring and supporting Black male youth is huge.
Absolutely. It's about those genuine connections, that can really make a world of difference.
They can. And speaking of powerful, The book ends with this call to action centered on self-empowerment.
Okay.
They introduce this concept called the Malcolm X principle.
All right, tell me about this Malcolm X principle.
Well, it's a philosophy, almost a way of life, and it's built on 4 pillars.
Right.
The first is belief in a higher power.
So tapping into that spiritual dimension.
Exactly, which can be such a source of strength.
For sure.
Then it emphasizes belonging, finding community and knowing you're not alone in your struggles.
So vital, especially for young people.
Absolutely.
Trying to find their place in the world.
The third pillar is a respect for knowledge.
Okay.
It's about lifelong learning, constantly expanding your understanding.
That resonates so much with the whole Stoic philosophy.
Yeah.
It's about using knowledge as a tool for empowerment.
Exactly. And the final pillar is self-discipline.
Okay.
Having that control over your thoughts, actions, emotions.
Easier said than done.
It is, but it's essential for achieving any goal.
Right.
For becoming the best version of yourself.
Right.
And the book uses Malcolm X's transformation in prison as a prime example of this principle in action.
Oh, wow.
He was literally in a cage, but he chose to take control of his destiny. He educated himself. He found his voice.
Powerful example.
It's that reminder that even in the darkest of circumstances, you have the power to choose your response, to rise above your situation.
To take back your power.
Exactly. And then the book brings it full circle and connects this principle to resources we have today, like the internet.
Okay.
You can access information, connect with others, build your own path to success.
It's like Malcolm X with a smartphone.
Exactly. The tools are there.
Right at your fingertips.
Now, before we move on, I want to share a specific example from the book that really resonated with me.
Okay.
It's the story of a 9-year-old boy named Ronald, who's in the 4th grade.
Okay, what about Ronald?
So Ronald's a bright kid, but he keeps clashing with his teacher.
Uh-oh.
The problem is his style. He loves to wear his cap and keep his shoelaces untied.
Okay.
And both of these things are actually significant in Black culture.
Interesting.
But it leads to all these misunderstandings.
It's heartbreaking to think that just simple self-expression,
Yeah.
can lead to conflict.
It can. The book uses Ronald's story to really show how cultural differences are often misinterpreted as defiance or disrespect.
Right.
And it highlights the need for more cultural sensitivity in our schools.
We need educators who understand and value those differences.
Right. We do not try to force everyone into the same mold.
Exactly.
And luckily for Ronald, he's part of the Young Lions program. Oh. So he has these positive Black male role models who get him,
They understand where he's coming from.
Exactly.
They see him.
It's a reminder of how crucial these programs can be.
Yeah.
They provide that safe space for young Black boys to be themselves, to embrace their culture.
And to thrive.
Absolutely. Ronald's story really drives home the book's core message.
Which is?
Empowerment starts with understanding and valuing the unique strengths and challenges that these young men face.
It's about creating an environment where they can flourish.
Exactly.
It really makes you think, how often did this happen in classrooms across the country?
It does. It's a sobering thought.
It is. And it brings us back to that big question that we started with,
Yeah.
How do we really empower these young men
Right.
to succeed in all areas of their lives?
Mm-hmm.
So after this deep dive into the book, what are some key takeaways? What do you hope our listeners walk away with?
I think the biggest takeaway is we need programs specifically designed for these young men. Things like the Young Lions, Black Manhood Training, that address their needs and cultivate their strengths.
Programs that make them feel seen and heard and valued for who they are.
Absolutely not trying to squeeze them into a box that doesn't fit.
Right, and give them the tools to navigate a world that doesn't always see their potential.
And we can't forget about representation, having those positive Black male role models, those mentors who can say, hey, I've been where you are. Right. You can achieve anything.
That kind of mentorship is invaluable.
It is. But this book is more than just a call for more programs. It's a call to action for all of us.
Right. It's a reminder that we all have a responsibility
we do.
To create a more just and equitable society where these young men have the opportunity to thrive.
Exactly. Whether you're a parent, a teacher, a community leader, or just someone who cares.
Yeah.
It's something you can do.
Absolutely. But before we wrap up, I have one final thought-provoking question for everyone listening.
Okay.
The book talks a lot about schools and families. But what about the wider community?
Right.
How can we create a culture that really supports and uplifts these young men?
That's a great question. It challenges us to think beyond those individual programs and look at the big picture.
Right.
What kind of messages are we sending young Black males through our media, through our policies, through our everyday interactions.
It's about challenging those harmful stereotypes and biases that limit their potential.
It is creating a world where a young Black boy with his cap and his untied shoelaces isn't seen as a problem, but as a person expressing himself.
Exactly. This has been a truly insightful deep dive.
It has.
Thank you for joining us on this journey of exploration.
The pleasure was all mine.
Remember, the conversation doesn't end here.
It doesn't.
Keep learning, keep growing, and keep advocating for a brighter future.
Absolutely.
For all these amazing young men.
Yes.
Thank you for listening to the FBA Stoic Podcast. And remember, foundational Black Americans deserve reparations.